What is going on out there, good people, and welcome back to LMD Trading, where I am living my dream trading. Hope everybody out there is doing well. As for me, I'm doing good on this Sunday morning. Just out here in the shop, kind of getting set up to get some orders ran. Usually put in about 4 hours on a Sunday out here. Have the laser engraver going over there to my side, so hopefully it's not making too much interference noise as it runs some tumblers. But wanted to get a video done as I sit here kind of plotting out the week, and I noticed some things that I don't do when I'm doing my preparation for the week. So I said, let me go ahead, I'm gonna get a video done, just kind of looking at what I'm seeing, some of the things that I don't do that I'm gonna discuss, and we're gonna take a look and see what the week has in store. So let's go ahead, let's bring up the charts. And first things first, one of the things that I rarely do as an intraday trader is look and see how the week closed out, how the prior week closed out. So this morning I pulled up the weekly chart, and boy, oh boy, was I impressed at what I saw. So this here is the weekly chart for MNQ, and notice we made a very nice V shape. We kind of started flushing out February, came down, flushed out into April, and we have made a nice V-shaped recovery. And look at where last week's candle closed, or not closed, but look where the high was, right here along this area of resistance. So looking at this, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make this statement right here. We have three different scenarios that this week can play out. First one, because we did finish a little bearish. If we break the low of this weekly candle, which is 21,650.25, if we break that low, we going down to test the low of the prior week's candle. That low is 21,470.50. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two, it could be a choppy week and we can stay inside of this week's candle. That this week's or prior week's candle had a range of 575 points. So it could be a range week. That's scenario number two. And scenario number three is we can break the high of the previous week, which was 22224.50. If we break the high of the prior week's candle, we can possibly go up there and test all-time highs. So those are three scenarios. Guess what, y'all? The U.S. bombed Iran yesterday. I think that's going to add a lot of volatility to the market and possibly how this market opens this evening. So, three scenarios. We break the low. We go test the wick of the prior week. We inside range. That's 575 points. Or we break the high and we go test all-time highs. That's on the weekly chart. I rarely look at the weekly chart, and I did this morning. Now let's go ahead, let's pull up the flex grid. This is what I'm usually looking at when I am trading. And you notice I did add a fourth chart to this area that used to have the news on it. Reason being, if we go back to the weekly chart, one thing that I did not do was measure the weekly candle and kind of quantify it on a fib level. So usually on the 1 minute, I'm tracking the daily fib. Prior candles, daily fib levels. On the 15 minute, I have been tracking the monthly, and on the hourly, I have been tracking the yearly. So what I did on the 15-minute, now I'm tracking the weekly fib level. So I want to know where price is in relation to levels on the weekly chart. Notice on the weekly, this 50% level, pretty key level, it acted as support. 61.8 is a very key level. That's also second line of defense. Look at second line of defense, literally straddling that level. Crazy. So I have my weekly fib levels. I can see where they're at on the 15-minute chart. Easy way for me to see how price is in relation to that prior week's candle. Notice levels clutch. Hourly chart. I now have the monthly on the hourly chart. So I can see where price is at in relation to the prior month's fib levels. Clutch, 88 level came in clutch. We have the 100 level. Notice how it just kind of chopped around that, not trying to give up the prior month's monthly highs. And then up there at the 110 level. And then we come down to the 4 hour. And on the 4 hour, I'm tracking the yearly fib levels. Notice that 88 level acted as support. One thing that Spark caught that I didn't catch, and that's why it's kind of good to have other people checking your charts out. I'm gonna go back to the single chart and I'm gonna pull up the daily. Pull up the daily real quick. This was something that Spark caught that I didn't catch. But notice how price, every time it came down to this gray cloud, which is what I call the pivot cloud, notice price pivoted. Boom. Price pivoted. As a trader, if you wanted to kind of use that, this more so would be a good swing indicator, actually. Price comes down here, we expect it to kind of bounce. This thing came down, it hit it at 20800. In 4 days, price was at 21,874. That's 1,000 freaking points. It's crazy. Came down again, nice bounce. So that was something that I didn't catch, but it was also doing it on the 4 hour chart. This is the 4 hour time frame. Bouncing or pivoting off of that pivot cloud, pivot, pivot. If it lets go of this gray cloud, then I have this green cloud, which is what I call the bounce cloud. If it doesn't bounce off of that, we could be in trouble. But notice over here last week, it kind of dipped down, kind of got close, and this was on Friday. I marked where that was at, and then if you come and look, this is what I wanted to see. On the 1 minute, on a smaller time frame, do we see some other key areas? And notice, both times it was bouncing off of this 35 level. So that's what I like to see right there. Like that it's just kind of correlating on some other time frames. But that's my weekly kind of breakdown on what I think the market has in store. It's all based on that weekly chart. We look at the daily chart. Daily doesn't really give us too much, but that weekly, yeah, that weekly is clutch for me. Looking at the daily, we do see that we are right up here at the 100 level on the yearly candle. So we break that. That's all-time highs right there. That is all-time highs. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna wrap this video up. As always, thanks for checking me out. If you hadn't hit that like button, please do so. If you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. As always, we can continue the conversation in the comments. They say preparation meets opportunity. That is what we have to do in this market. we can't just sit down at the desk on Monday morning, or any morning for that matter, without doing some proper preparation. And we got to get it in, y'all. So hopefully you over there getting your preparation in, so that when preparation meets opportunity, you can have success. On that note, I'm out of here. Peace.